Trust is the foundation of every relationship. It's the glue that binds families, friendships, workplaces, and communities. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone who reaches for your trust deserves it. Some people wear masks. They study your vulnerabilities and they measure your silence, and they use tactics not to build connection, but to manipulate it. And when you fall into that trap, the betrayal feels like a wound that's hard to heal. So today, I want to open this conversation about the subtle and dangerous tactics evil people use to gain your trust so that you can spot them before they plant roots in your life. One of the first and most subtle tactics evil people use is mirroring. On the surface, it feels innocent, even comforting. Imagine you're sitting across from someone new, and within minutes, it seems like you've known them for years. You say you love a certain song, and suddenly it's their favorite too. You talk about a childhood memory, and they just happen to have the same one. You mention your deepest fear, and they lean in and whisper, "I feel exactly the same way." That moment is intoxicating because it creates the illusion of instant connection. It feels like finding your twin soul, someone who just gets you. And we're wired as humans to be drawn to familiarity. Sameness feels safe. It lowers our guard. But here's the problem. When someone mirrors you perfectly, you're not actually getting to know them. You're just looking into a reflection of yourself. They aren't revealing their authentic self. They're carefully studying you, then projecting it back in a way that makes you trust faster than you should. True relationships are built on both similarities and differences. A healthy person can celebrate the ways you're alike while also standing firm in their individuality. They can say, "I don't love that song, but I see why you do," or "My fears are different, but I honor yours." That's what authenticity looks like. Mirroring, however, erases the individual. It creates a dangerous illusion. You feel like you found someone who matches you in every way, when in reality, you're being manipulated. And the danger is, by the time you notice, you may have already given them your secrets, your trust, and sometimes even your dependence. Think of it like walking into a house of mirrors. At first, it's entertaining, but after a while, you start to feel lost, disoriented, and unsure of what's real. That's what being mirrored feels like in relationships. It confuses your sense of reality, and that confusion gives manipulative people control. The key is this: if someone always agrees, always matches, always just happens, to feel the exact same as you, pause. Step back, pay attention. Authenticity leaves room for difference. Mirroring hides behind imitation. And while imitation may look like connection, it's really just a mask for control. Kindness is one of the most beautiful gifts we can give to one another. It disarms walls, it heals wounds, and it reminds us that goodness exists in a sometimes cruel world. But here's the reality: we don't often talk about kindness. When used in excess and without authenticity, can become a weapon in the wrong hands. Evil people understand the magnetic pull of kindness. They know that when someone makes us feel special, noticed, and valued, our defenses drop quickly. So they use this knowledge not to connect, but to manipulate. Instead of a gentle flow of kindness that grows over time, they unleash a flood. They overwhelm you. It looks like this: within days of knowing them, they're sending you gifts. They compliment you constantly, so much that it almost feels like a performance. They praise your talents, your looks, your intelligence, your heart. They tell you things like, "You're the most amazing person I've ever met," or "No one understands me like you do." And while a part of you glows under that attention, another part might feel uneasy because it's too much too soon. The truth is, authentic kindness builds trust slowly. It respects boundaries. It's not desperate. But manipulative kindness is strategic. It's designed to hook you, to make you believe you owe them something. Before long, you start to feel guilty if you don't match their energy. You start to feel indebted. And that's exactly the trap. They want you to feel like you can't say no. Later, that same kindness gets weaponized. The person who once showered you with compliments may say, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." Or the one who lavished you with gifts may suddenly remind you of their generosity whenever you try to pull away. What began as kindness turns into a leash around your freedom. This is why discernment is so important. Healthy kindness never demands repayment. It flows from love, not from control. It feels light, not heavy. Real kindness doesn't rush intimacy or smother you with attention. It allows relationships to grow naturally with space to breathe. Here's the hard but freeing truth. Not everyone who is kind to you has good intentions. Some use kindness as camouflage. Some use it to fast-track intimacy, and some use it as bait to reel you into dependency. The key is to notice how kindness feels. Does it feel safe, respectful, and balanced, or does it feel overwhelming, urgent, and suffocating? Trust your body, trust your intuition. If it feels like too much, it probably is, because real kindness doesn't overwhelm, it sustains. Real kindness doesn't trap, it frees. At first glance, when someone opens up to us, it feels beautiful. Vulnerability is sacred. It's the bridge between two hearts. When someone shares their struggles, their pain, or their past wounds, it signals courage. It makes us believe this person trusts me. This person is being real. But here's where the danger lies. Some people know that vulnerability is powerful, and they exploit it. They don't reveal their struggles because they're truly inviting you into their world. They do it to pull you into theirs too quickly. It's not about connection, it's about control. Think about it. You meet someone, and on the very first day, they're telling you stories about their deepest traumas, the heartbreaks they've endured, or the betrayals they've faced. You barely know their middle name, but you know their darkest wounds. And something inside you says, wow, they're so open. I need to trust them, but let's pause here. Real vulnerability takes time. It grows with trust. It's like planting a seed and watering it gently, allowing it to grow strong roots. Healthy people don't hand you their entire life story before trust has been earned. They give pieces, step by step, as safety builds. When evil people share vulnerabilities too quickly, it's often strategic. They're testing how compassionate you are, how willing you are to care for them, and how quickly you'll let your guard down in return. Because here's the trick. Once you've heard their wounds, you'll feel a pull to reciprocate. You'll start sharing your own stories, your own weaknesses, your own fears. Suddenly, they have access to the most tender parts of your life while you barely know who they really are. And the painful part, many times those vulnerabilities aren't even true, or they're exaggerated. It's performance, not honesty. It's a way to rush intimacy without doing the real work of building trust. And once they have your secrets, they hold power over you. Here's what healthy vulnerability looks like. It's mutual, it's balanced. And it respects timing. It doesn't rush. It doesn't demand. It doesn't leave you feeling exposed without care. When someone is genuinely vulnerable, they don't just throw their wounds on the table to force closeness. They share slowly, carefully, and with sincerity. So if someone is pouring their entire soul into your hands before you even know their values, their consistency, or their true character, pause. Ask yourself, is this real vulnerability or is it a tactic? Because the truth is, authentic vulnerability is never used as bait. It's never a trap. It's never a weapon. It's an offering of trust that grows only in the soil of safety and respect. And when you can spot the difference, you protect not just your trust, but also your heart. One of the most powerful and dangerous tactics manipulative people use is stepping into your life as the rescuer. It sounds noble, doesn't it? Someone swoops in when you're struggling, when life feels heavy, and they offer support, guidance, or resources that seem to ease the weight you're carrying. And in that moment, it feels like grace. It feels like you found someone who truly cares. But here's the hard truth. Sometimes that rescue is not about helping you, it's about hooking you. Think about the moments when you've been most vulnerable. Maybe you were grieving. Maybe you lost a job, went through heartbreak, or faced family struggles. In those moments, your guard is down. You're searching for comfort, for someone to steady the ground beneath you. And that's when a manipulative person arrives, presenting themselves as your savior. They give you money when you're in need. They offer advice that seems wise. They show up with solutions, comfort, or a listening ear. And very quickly, you begin to associate your healing with their presence. You start to believe the lie that you need them in order to move forward. That's the trap. Because healthy rescuers, true friends, loving families, supportive mentors, they help you rise, but they don't tie your healing to their presence. They walk with you, but never chain you to them. They remind you of your own strength. They cheer for your independence. Manipulative rescuers, on the other hand, design their help to create dependency. They want you to lean so heavily on them that you forget how to stand on your own. And when you try to step away, they remind you, remember what I did for you? Remember how I was there when no one else was? You owe me. It's not love, it's leverage. This tactic is dangerous because it can feel so genuine. Gratitude turns into obligation. Appreciation turns into guilt. And before you know it, your choices are no longer free. You're moving in ways that protect the one who even if it costs you your peace. Here's the difference to look for when someone helps you. Ask yourself, do I feel freer or more tied down afterward? Do I feel empowered or indebted? True rescuers remind you that you were capable all along. They simply stood by as you discovered it. Manipulative rescuers convince you that without them, you'd still be lost. And that's the key. Genuine love empowers manipulation and presence. So be grateful for help, but be discerning about motives. Because sometimes the very hand that lifts you up is the same hand that plans to hold you down. One of the most deceptive tactics evil people use is borrowing credibility. Instead of letting you see their true character, they parade the approval of others as evidence that they are trustworthy. It looks like this. They tell you, everybody knows I'm loyal. Or ask anyone. They'll tell you, I'm the most honest person you'll ever meet. They name drop respected friends, family members, or leaders who supposedly vouch for them. Sometimes they'll even point to the way crowds admire them at church, at work, or in the community, as if popularity itself is proof of integrity. And here's why it works. We humans are wired to lean on social validation. If others trust someone, we tend to lower our guard. We assume if so many people approve of them, they must be good. But that assumption can be dangerous because public approval can be staged, manipulated, or completely disconnected from private behavior. Some of the most destructive people are masters of reputation. They wear charm like a cloak. They know how to impress a crowd, how to speak the right words, how to present themselves as kind, generous, and admirable. Out in public, they sparkle. But behind closed doors, they harm, control, and manipulate the very people closest to them. This creates one of the most painful dynamics for those who are hurt by them. When you try to explain what's happening, no one believes you because all they see is the polished image, the smile, the reputation, the community praise. They'll say, that doesn't sound like them. They're so kind. And that disbelief isolates you even further, making you second guess your own reality. That's why this tactic is so effective. By securing other people's approval, manipulative individuals build a shield around themselves. A shield that makes it nearly impossible for anyone to question their intentions. Here's the truth: reputation is not always reality. Approval is not the same as integrity. And the applause of the crowd is not evidence of a pure heart. If someone constantly leans on what others say about them rather than allowing you to experience their character directly, pay attention. If they seem more invested in protecting their image than in nurturing honesty, be cautious. And if they use the approval of others as a way to silence your doubts or dismiss your instincts, step back. Because real trust doesn't need a cheerleading squad. It doesn't need endless witnesses. It proves itself in the quiet moments, in consistency, in the ways someone treats you when no one else is watching. The people you can truly trust won't need to parade their reputation in front of you. Their actions will be proof enough, and their character will speak louder than anyone else's approval ever could. When we think of manipulation, we often imagine something fast and obvious, like someone rushing us into decisions, overwhelming us with attention, or forcing intimacy. But not every tactic works that way. Some of the most dangerous people are not the ones who move quickly, but the ones who wait. Patience in healthy relationships is a sign of respect. It shows that someone values your pace, your comfort, your boundaries. But when evil people weaponize patience, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a strategy. They understand that time is one of the most powerful builders of trust. So instead of trying to trick you overnight, they play the long game. It might look like this. They enter your life quietly without making big moves. They don't overwhelm you. They don't push too hard. They simply linger, helpful enough, kind enough, steady enough that you slowly let them in. Week by week, month by month, even year by year, they craft an image of reliability. And because nothing feels rushed, you convince yourself, if they had bad intentions, I would have seen it by now. That's exactly why this tactic is so effective. By stretching out the timeline, they erode your natural defenses. Over time, you stop questioning, you stop observing, you relax into the rhythm of their presence, believing longevity equals loyalty. And then, when the timing is right, they strike. Sometimes it's a betrayal, sometimes it's control, sometimes it's a subtle takeover of your choices or your peace. And it hits harder because the betrayal wasn't sudden, it was years in the making. You look back and realize they weren't building trust, they were building access. This is why betrayal from long-term relationships, friendships, or partnerships can cut so deeply. It's not just the act itself, it's the shock that someone could wait so patiently,